G'day guys, welcome to a very special little event we've got going on here. This is kind of like a podcast, but what we're going to do is we're going to do an interview when we're on YouTube. We've got some cameras set up here so you can either be watching us have this chat or you can be listening via audio file. So today is all about introducing my very good mate, Dan Sheehan, who's the CEO and founder of the NAMA company. NAMA is an appliance business that's going to be producing a lot of appliances down the track, and their very first product is the NAMA cold press juicer. And if you've been following me and you've been watching what I've been doing, you know that I have been getting super excited about the launch of this juicer. So maybe you're listening to this story straight after our launch, which is now, or maybe you're going to be listening to it in a couple of years' time. Whenever you do listen to it, check out namawell.com, and we're going to get chatting to the man behind the company, my good mate, Dan Sheehan. How are you, Dan?
I'm great, Joe. How are you?
Good, mate. Yeah, great. This is going to be a lot of fun. I think that you and I have been mates now for 3 years.
Yes.
And a lot's happened.
A lot has happened.
We've had many meetings, many phone calls, many dinners and lunches and juices and walks and talks. And finally, the big day has come and the baby has been born, so to speak. The NAMA cold press juicer is out and it's on the market, and so far so good. So before we dive into that, I just wanted to introduce you to my community, and also, you know, this video, this story will live on the NAMA community as well. So I think it would be really interesting. A lot of people know who I am. They've seen my movies, Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead 1 and 2. They've seen the kids menu. We'll talk about how the kids menu connected you and I. But I just think it'd be great just to sort of go back in time, just to really get to know who you are, the founder of the company, the man behind this juicer, and just to do a bit of a deep dive. So you and I are around the same age, right? I'm 53 and you're...
I just turned 55 a couple of days ago.
Yeah, so you're just, you know, you're the senior gentleman of the two, right?
A few more grey hairs.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think I'm beating you on the greys. But so you grew up where? And tell me a little bit about your background as you're growing up as a kid and what got you excited about. I love this story that you shared with me very early on about how you were in California and you thought you'd take back an idea back to Canada.
Yeah, so I was born in the Bay Area. I lived in Canada as a teenager. My father moved to Canada when I was younger. So I joined him and went to high school and went to college in Ontario. Ontario, Canada, near Toronto was where I went to university.
So Niagara Falls area.
Yeah, University of Guelph is where I went.
Right.
And while I was doing my master's degree in engineering, I had seen an idea the year prior in California, which was these cardboard shields that go into the front window of vehicles to keep the car cool.
Right. And how old are you at this stage now?
I was 21,
right.
22, you know, studying to get my master's degree and figuring I was going to have a career as an engineer.
Right.
And then I got a new car. As a student, I had a car and I wanted to protect it. And I thought, oh yeah, I'd seen these shades a year ago. So I rang my mom and I said, can you send me one? Just go buy one and send it to me. So she sent it to me and I started using it in my car. And then people started asking me, hey, where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? Where'd you get that? And I thought, maybe something here. So I called my mom and I said, send me 10. So she mailed 10 to me. And then I sold them to all the guys that I was going to grad school with. And I thought, that was easy. So I contacted the company and I asked them, hey, do you have a distributor in Canada? No, we don't. But if you want to be our distributor, you could buy a truckload of these cardboard sunshades. So I thought, well, I'm a student. I have no money. How am I going to do this? Anyway, long story short, family, friends, coerced some friends to become partners. We started a company. We each threw in $10,000, started this business, and lo and behold, 25 years later, been doing automotive accessories for
right. So
longer
we're going to get there, but I think what was important that I took away from that is that right at a very young age, you had that entrepreneurial spirit. you saw a problem and you wanted to solve that problem.
Right.
And while it might have been all the rage in Southern California, that's where your mum lived, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That might have been all the rage there, having these sun protectors for the car. In Canada,
It
right,
was,
where they've got a lot of snow.
yeah, 2 months of summer if we're lucky.
Right.
If we're lucky. So it was a tough sell.
Right. So going back a little bit before that, what was it like growing up? What was it like, say, in your teenage years when it came to, what sort of things that you loved to do in life? What was it? What got you excited, Dan?
For me, it was sports. I really loved participating in sports. So through high school, basketball, track and field, cross country. Those were things that I loved. Golf. One of my first jobs was working at a golf course, so being outside, playing golf. That was something that I kind of grew up doing. Besides that, fishing, and then running really became my passion. Yeah.
So were you someone, because you're a great salesperson and I've got to know you over the last few years, and you're very good at selling, you're very good at people skills. Where do you think those skills developed? Was that something that you were born with, or did you think you developed those as you were growing up?
I think you develop them. I think one of the key things that I found in life, but also in sales and in running a business, has been empathy. I think empathy is really critical, and I think I learned that early on from my grandmother, from my parents, and the family that was around me, having empathy and caring for other people. And I think if you are in the business of solving problems, then empathy is a really important attribute to have. I also think that in university, they focused very much on communication skills. So it was a very different type of engineering program that I went through, and so we really had to learn how to communicate effectively and to present our ideas and to debate our ideas. And so that was probably where I cut my teeth in terms of those skills that are necessary, I think, to be a good salesperson.
Okay, so you're in your early 20s when you leave college.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me how the business that you effectively have a part owner in and has been going for all these years, how did you get involved in that, and how did that get started?
Well, I think there was obviously various different stages in my career, but I started my first company when I was 21 or 22, went on and then sold my business to another company, actually the company that I was the distributor for, and worked for that company for about 5 years, moved to Asia, lived in Hong Kong for about 5 years, started another business with my current business partner in Hong Kong. And then we've been building that business ever since. I moved back to the U.S. late 90s, and it's kind of been, the last 20 years have been focused on building our U.S. company.
When you say those businesses, what were they in? What was the subject that you were selling? Like, what products were you selling?
Yeah, mostly automotive, car accessories, everything ranging from air fresheners, things to keep your car smelling nice, to seat covers and floor mats and sunshades and all different types of various automotive gadgets. Later we got into technological products like backup cameras and jump starters and things that had a more technical element to them, dash cams, things like that.
Okay, so let's just set the picture here then, so everyone listening at home. You are in your late 40s, probably just turned 50.
Yep.
Okay, and you've been working in automotive area section. You were not working in the juicing business. You were not working in juicers. You were nothing to do with that, right? You're all in automotive.
Yeah, automotive consumer products.
Consumer products.
Yeah.
And so you're dealing a lot with Costco. You're dealing a lot with the big retailers, going to those buyers, saying, "Hey, do you want to buy this? How many of those do you want?" So on, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you're doing a lot of travel.
A lot of travel.
You're on the move a lot.
I travel between 200,000 and 300,000 miles a year on average.
Yeah, which for the average person, like at home, that's like you're traveling like 4 days a week, right?
Yeah.
Maybe 5?
No, I mean, there's weeks that it's like that, but probably on average 2 days a week I'm traveling.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
and on a plane almost every week, and
Yeah.
it's been that way for 20 plus years.
And this is not just short haul, this is long haul. This is going back and forth.
A lot of trips to Asia.
Okay, so tell me about your health. How did your health hold up given that kind of demand and stress? Maybe not stress on your mind because you're quite a relaxed guy and you've got a great family and you've got great friends, but in terms of the stress on your body, what happened, and did it pay? Was there a cost paid?
Absolutely, a huge cost. But I think I believed that I was healthy. You know, at 40, I did Ironman. I was fit. I'd run lots of marathons. I'd been doing lots of different physical activity. You know, I have 6 children, so busy with them, chasing after them, doing different activities with them. But yeah, my late 40s, I felt really good, and then I started experimenting with kind of low carb diets, and I guess you could call them ketogenic type diets at that time, just trying to explore different ways of different types of nutrition. I had always been juicing for more than 15 years, but I started to become really thin. And I thought, oh, it's probably just, you know, the low carb diet. I'm just getting...
It's working.
Yeah, it's working. I'm getting more, I'm losing whatever my
And you're in your
fat.
late 40s now, are you?
Late 40s, early 50s, maybe I just turned 50.
Right.
And
up until this point, you hadn't been sick. You
never go to the doctor,
never the
no
doctor,
medication, no nothing.
Right.
You know, I felt that I was healthy, and obviously, in order to be able to travel and run the business and do the things that I was doing, it was a pretty high output life.
Right.
Going, kind of burning the candle at both ends, so to speak. But I felt like I had a lot of energy. I felt healthy. But things really started to deteriorate, and we were looking at buying a business in Australia. So I was traveling back and forth a lot to Australia and going down and back. And
it's 14, 15 hours.
Yeah, long flights, and I was only there for a few days, and then I'd fly back, and then we'd meet with the lawyers. Anyway, long story short, that summer, which was about 4 years ago, I started to feel not good. I was getting thinner and thinner. Again, kind of thinking that it was my diet, but
When you say you weren't feeling good, was it low on energy?
Low on energy.
Did you have a nauseous? I mean, what was the...
No, I wasn't nauseous. I was really low on energy. And then I started, I guess, you know, in hindsight, some of the symptoms were there, but I didn't really pick up on them. So I was, you know, going to the bathroom a lot. Well, I thought that was because I was drinking a lot. So I was drinking a lot of water and all types of other liquids. I was constantly thirsty, had a weird taste in my mouth. I started to get some weird skin things around my mouth.
Okay. Now, how long is this for? What's the sort of period?
This is the summer of...
But is it a couple of weeks? Is it a month?
It's probably that summer. So let's say that we were doing the deal in May, June. Let's say I started really feeling the symptoms in June. But I kind of pushed
the
through
deal's
it.
more important.
Pushed through it.
So those of you that are listening at home or watching, if you have any knowledge of diabetes, you know that what Dan's describing are the symptoms and of diabetes, right, mate?
Yeah.
And
definitely.
so tell us about the day that you had to go to hospital.
So I was feeling so sick, so terrible at this point that I couldn't even walk up the stairs to my bedroom. It was really bad.
So the good news is you're at home. You're not in a hotel somewhere in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, correct. But I was having difficulty breathing. I mean, again, I was kind of very dumb not to have gone to the hospital or seeking medical attention earlier. But again, I thought, I could just power through it, or maybe I've got the flu or this.
The deal's more important. I know what that's like.
Yeah,
you know, businessman, you got to get the deal done.
So I went to emergency. They rushed me in. And literally within an hour, they'd come back with a diagnosis that I had type 1 diabetes or late onset diabetes. It's something that normally strikes children, like a juvenile diabetes, but it is something that I've come to learn is becoming more and more common for adults to be diagnosed with type 1 diabetes.
Right, so this is not type 2.
Correct.
What is the difference, if you had to explain that to just the average punter on the street, what is the difference between type 1 and type 2, Dan?
With type 1 diabetes, it's an autoimmune condition where the body attacks the insulin-producing cells in your pancreas. So my pancreas no longer is able to produce insulin.
Okay.
And because it can't produce insulin, it has no way of absorbing the glucose, the carbohydrates that are found within food that feed our body.
Got it.
So what was happening to me was my body was eating itself from the inside out. So in order to survive, my body started eating my skin. It ate all the fat, then it started eating my muscles, et cetera, et cetera,
Hence
et
why you
cetera.
were getting thin.
Correct.
So with type 2 diabetes,
Yes.
difference being?
Your body basically produces too much insulin, and your body is not able to utilize it, and your cells aren't able to absorb it, and so that tends to be more lifestyle induced or dietary induced.
Got it.
And so by making some shifts in the way you eat, the types of food you eat, your health, you are able to, in a lot of cases, and again, I'm definitely not a doctor, it's just the research that I've done myself.
Sure, but you do know a lot about this.
Yeah, a few things, but you know, it is something that, from my understanding and from my research and from just firsthand experience with talking to people who've been able to overcome it, you can overcome it through shifts in your lifestyle.
Right. So I want to understand and help share, what was that like? You know, you're a fit, you've been doing Ironmans, you're 50, you got 6 children, you're on top of the world business-wise, you're a superstar, you're all over the world, you're going gangbusters. What was it like when the doctor said, hey, Dan, you have type 1 diabetes?
Oh, well, a whole bunch of thoughts went rushing through my mind, but I guess there was almost a sense of relief because I'd been feeling so awful for, let's call it 3 months. And I thought it was worse. I really thought it was a life sentence. I thought, I was expecting you've got pancreatic cancer or you've got something that's just horrendous. And so, yeah, it's terrible. It's a debilitating condition, type 1. It's not treatable, not curable. I'm hooked up to insulin for the rest of my life. I need to inject myself with every meal. It's never out of your mind. I'm constantly thinking about it. But I can have a full life like I had before. Yeah. I'm not, so from that point of view, I looked at it as almost a relief. And I kind of said, you know, this is the first day of the rest of my life. Mm-hmm. You know, I call it Dan 2.0. Right. And so that's how I've chosen. I mean, I guess you could beat yourself up and you could look at it as a, you know, as a bad thing. Why me? Oh yeah, why?
In your heart of hearts, in your gut, do you think that this autoimmune disease that is type 1 diabetes, do you think it was because of your lifestyle? Or do you think if you'd been like the guy with the bar on the beach for the last 40 years down in the Caribbean, that you still would have got it? What's your thought?
My thought is that it was lifestyle induced, for sure. I mean, burning the candle at both ends, probably a ton of inflammation, the travel, the lack of sleep, the poor diet in some regards. I mean, I've always had a pretty healthy diet, but early on, you know, probably too much sugar, just all of the things that, you know, they say can contribute to this and weaken your body's immune system to the point where my body started attacking itself with this disease.
So we're hanging out in Venice right now, and you might hear some planes in the background because we are in the backyard of a beautiful little home here in Venice. We're near the airport, so just if you're at home wondering what that is, that's what that is. So Dan, when you now like look at this situation that happened in your life where you were given this sentence of diabetes type 1, where for the rest of your life you're going to have to create the insulin, put it in, well, not create it, but actually put it in yourself.
Correct.
How did that affect your thinking of where we are now with you, the founder and CEO of this brand new company, Nama, that is all about wellness, all about rituals, and has, you know, as I said earlier, the first product out on the market now being the Nama cold press juicer?
Yeah. So obviously this was a huge wake-up call for me that if I was going to be around and be able to stick around and be healthy for my family and for my business, for the people who work alongside me, I was going to need to shift some things. I mean, I'm still the crazy traveling guy. I still
you are. That you are. I don't even know when to call you because I don't know what time zone you're on.
I still travel a lot. It's in my DNA. I can't change that. But I think what I've definitely done is prioritized differently. I do a lot of trips, even business trips, together with my family. So we try to include business and pleasure in our travels. That's something that's really important to me. have definitely shifted the way that I eat. I always, for the last 15 years, I thought I ate pretty healthy, but certainly shifted way more to a plant-based diet. I do eat a little bit of meat, but not a lot. One of the things that I learned, and I can tell because I wear a continuous glucose monitor on my body at all times to monitor my blood glucose levels, but one of the things that I learned through this process is that if you eat a lot of protein actually, within the body, your body has a way of converting that more, the excess protein
into glucose.
Converts it into glucose, which is sugar. So for me, that's not good. So I do everything possible in my diet in order to minimize the amount of sugar. So I eat a lower carb, typically lower refined carb, breads and things like that, cereals and grains. I eat fewer of those, and I definitely eat more plants. And so after having gone through what I went through and thinking about the rest of my life, the 2.0 part of my life, I wanted it to look differently. And so while I still am partners in the business that is doing the consumer products, I really felt like I wanted to do something and really create something that could benefit a broader audience, the community at large, the world at large, and helping individuals maybe learn more, be educated, be inspired about the benefits of eating more plants, and how that could really impact their health, their performance, so on and so forth. And that was the genesis of...
And so right before, it's a great segue into Nama, the company, and how they got started, but just one last thing I want the audience at home just to know about is that you've also, with your family, your wife, you have gone and bought a block of dirt on Vancouver Island, right? And this is not just any block of dirt. This is 18 beautiful acres of incredible farmland. And so you are really walking the walk, and as you talk the talk, because you are looking at making this your home, and you are looking at creating this incredible farm where you're going to nurture the soil and grow an enormous amount of produce, not only for your family, but for the community.
Correct. Yeah, it's a big project that we started about a year ago. We're early on, but it's very exciting, and we simply can't wait to get it up and running. Yeah.
So I can imagine being in automotive for most of your life, all starting with that idea that, I'm going to block the sun out of the windows from the car, to building a business that's doing well over $100 million in revenue and a super successful company with, how many employees? 150, 120? What's the number of employees?
I think we're approaching about 100 employees worldwide.
100 employees worldwide.
Yeah.
So, it's a big business and successful company, and it's been going for all those years. Along comes this idea that we want to create a business that's about wellness, that's about rituals, that you see an opportunity in the market to create a juicer. Down the road, we've got blender. A blender is on the drawing board. Is that right?
That's correct.
And then other products in the appliance world that can go into your home that help with your ritual of wellness.
Help with the wellness rituals, but I think pretty much around the idea of how can we assist people in eating more plants. Right. Plants as in fruits and vegetables. What are those things that make it easier? Because we're all tight on time. We're all stressed. We all have jobs, careers, school, kids, family, commitments, etc. And so time is of the essence.
So the average American, Australian person in Great Britain is getting around 8% plant food. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, beans, seeds, and 92% is coming from either processed food or animal product. And I think that where Dan and I hit it off, and this is a nice time to share a little story about how we met, is that I'm all about trying to inspire, educate, and entertain people to say, hey, if you're happy with 8%, knock yourself out, go for it. Who am I to get into your life and tell you what to do? But if you're struggling, if you're not feeling great, if you're low on energy, if you're broken, you've got some chronic illness, if you're taking pills, maybe, just maybe, you could have a look at this and see whether you're getting enough of Mother Nature's finest into your system. And so with that, I went on my journey, which I know you had seen my movies and
Yes.
we'd never met. You'd seen Fat, Sick, Nearly Dead 1, Fat, Sick, Nearly Dead 2 as a family.
Yes.
And I know that you all got into juicing. You were into juicing before that, but I believe it's supercharged,
Absolutely
right?
did.
It got you guys back into more juicing.
Yes.
Well, you weren't Robinson Crusoe, I can tell you there now. There's a lot of people who had that effect. But I made a third movie called The Kids Menu. Now, The Kids Menu has not been widely seen because it went exclusively to Netflix.
Right.
And then Netflix did their huge original content where they went and did all their own stuff. So it got buried in the feed there. So we got some exciting plans about Kids Menu, which is going to come out in 2020. But right now, when I say come out, we're going to try and get it more widely distributed, widely seen in 2020. But back in 2016, and it was in July of 2016,
Correct.
I believe, you were on the hunt for farms because you were looking at farms. Now, you ended up landing on Victoria, Vancouver Island in beautiful Canada there, where capital is Victoria, right? But you ended up landing on the property there, but you were looking East Coast.
We were on Shelter Island on a family vacation. We had been traveling around Long Island. We'd been into New York. We thought this place sounded like a cool place to visit, so we were just tourists visiting Shelter Island. But at the same time, there were a lot of different farms, and
Right.
Long Island is famous for its agriculture. So we were touring farms, looking at different things, because we had been planning to develop a farm on Vancouver Island. So we stopped at one particular farm. The name eludes me at this moment, but they had a roadside stand, and inside the roadside stand was where they would, they'd sell all their produce, and that's where we saw the infamous poster of you.
Okay. And so who were you with? Who was traveling with you?
I was there with my wife, my sister-in-law, 2 kids, and my niece.
Right, so there were 6 of you.
Yeah, 6 of us.
And so this event that I had was the Kids Menu, which was a screening in the local library. And this wonderful lady had asked me 6 months ago would I come out to Shelter Island. And for those of you who don't know where Shelter Island is, it's a little island between the North and South Fork out at the Hamptons. And it's a beautiful part of the world. You get a little ferry across there.
Amazing.
It's gorgeous. Gorgeous. Anyway, I was screening my movie. I believe it was about like a 6 p.m. Start at the local library. And God bless her, she had put some flyers up all over the island.
Yeah.
And they were on telegraph poles, they were on bulletin boards. But the population of Shelter Island isn't, it's not New York City. So there weren't that many people, and it was raining, and it was even though it was July, it was a pretty miserable old day, if I remember.
Yeah.
So I had driven the 3 hours out from the city. I was living in New York City at the time, and Dan saw a billboard. And is it right you were going home that day, or you decided to stay, or
Yeah,
what was the story behind the sign?
So we were touring this farm stand, and the poster was stuck to a piece of wood in the farm stand, and Leslie, my wife, pointed at the thing, and she's like, look, because we knew you, we knew your movies, we knew the movement that you had created, we'd been following it, and she's like, Joe is here tonight. We had no plans. Even if we'd had plans, we would have changed them. And we're like, let's go and meet this guy and see his new movie because it's really interesting.
So you came along, and because you were 6, you were 50% of the audience. So it was a really good thing you came along, Dan. I've thanked you before, and I'll thank you again now publicly. Yeah, that was one of our smallest audience turnouts, but that's cool. It was a lovely lady who asked us to come out there. But hey, isn't it funny that it's funny how things go and how stories happen, and it's one of those journeys that I've spoken to friends about that it would have been very easy for me to cancel that event for that lady. Yeah. But I'd made a commitment. I said I was going to do it, so I followed through. And it's funny how I always say this: lady luck follows a person of action.
Yes.
And so both of us got very lucky that day in that I was there. I screened the film. It hadn't been released at that stage, and then we did a Q&A afterwards. And because there's only 12 people and Dan was half of the quorum with his family, Dan asked all the questions, and so that was fun.
I think I made my kids ask a few.
You did. And then afterwards, we took some family photos, and then you gave me your business card. Now, What's interesting about this is that I get people giving me their business card all the time at my events, all across the world. Because generally what they're wanting is they're wanting something from me. They want to, like, I've got this idea, or you invest in this, will you do this? But I took the card really thinking, well, this is a nice guy, but, I'm not sure anything will come from this. He's a really nice guy. We didn't have much of a chance to talk. We spoke for maybe 5 minutes tops.
Oh, at the most, yeah.
At the most.
Yeah.
So I put the card in my pocket, and I went home. I drove the 3 hours. Now, the next morning I had to get up at 7 and fly to Hawaii because it was my mum and dad's 50th wedding anniversary, and I had, as a gift, I promised to take them to Hawaii for a week. So we had a great time, and I knew that I had them booked into a spa treatments on all of Thursday afternoon. So I knew that the one block of time that I had where I could commit to a conversation with someone outside of my family was that Thursday afternoon. So when I got home, I was tired, but I saw Dan's card. I looked up on email his business, and this is a serious business. This is a serious guy. I'm going to pay him the respect of sending an email tonight. So I remember tapping at that email at about 2 a.m. and I tapped it out and said, Dan, why don't we talk on Thursday? Lo and behold, Thursday rolls around. Dan was ready for the Skype call. We had a 3-hour Skype call, talked about the vision of what you wanted to do, what I was looking to do, where I was looking to go. And so that really is, over 3 years ago now that happened.
Yep.
And within 12 months of that conversation, we had lawyers involved, we had paperwork going back and forth, we had a partnership knocking out where, it's funny how these things happen from a chance encounter and a meeting like that, and how things can change. And, you probably would have gone on this path anyway without me, but it was just an interesting sort of fortuitous meeting of both of us to come together, where you just had this big life-changing event from your health. Yeah. You knew you wanted, even though you love automotive and you love all the people in automotive and everyone you've worked with, you wanted to do something differently. I had a great relationship with Breville and a great time, but I also knew that there was something more for the next stage, the next chapter for me. People ask me, why did I use a Breville? And I did it because it was in the movie Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead. I wanted to be very authentic to that film. Now that we are, 12 years after I made that movie, I feel that it's okay now to go out into the next level and say, well, what is the best juicer out there? What can we bring to people that is going to be an incredible product? And if someone's listening at home and they've got a Breville and they've got their own juicer, that's great. Stick with it, hang in there. But when it comes time to change, upgrade, I think it's well worthwhile taking a look at Dan's company and checking out NamaWell.com and having a look at what they offer. So with all that being said, Dan, let's go into this business, this Nama vision you have. You just don't wake up one day and say, hey, I'm just going to go make a juicer and go into the garage. You have got some fantastic people working for you here in the USA and in Korea, but you have partnered up, or you have a production partner, is that what you would call it?
Yeah, manufacturing partner.
A manufacturing partner, and that is Huram.
Correct.
So why don't you just share a little bit about why you chose Huram and who Huram are for our community, so they can understand who they are.
So Huram is the pioneer probably in this cold press, slow juicing technology. Their company was founded over 40 years ago. They've kind of perfected this whole thing with the auger and the slow pressing. And I had bought one of their juicers 14 years ago, right, when I first started really getting into juicing. And I loved it. And it lasted me quite a long time. I replaced it probably with a newer model about 8 years ago. Had always dreamed about the idea of maybe someday working with them. And through our partnership, through the fact that we had decided to work together, I approached them about a little over a year ago and said, you and I were working together, would they be interested in possibly partnering with us and manufacturing a juicer to our specifications?
And then we did the whole ritual where we met with them and did the whole, bowing, holding the card, the name card, and everything. That was great. And look, and Peter and the team down there are fantastic people, and they're great. And I've enjoyed my trips down to Korea. I know you go a lot more than me, but it's great. And now we've even got some Korean staff on board with Lomi and our team down there.
We do. You know, we're very excited to have partnered with Huron. I mean, the whole point is there's no point in doing something if you're not going to do it the best.
Yep.
And they really are the best. They have the expertise, they have the technology, they have the team there that we've worked really closely with to make our own unique product in the Nama cold press juicer.
So, you know, you talked about that being the best, and, you know, with the best, you know, in America, you're paying, you know, $399 for this juicer, which, you know, a lot of people might say, hey, you know, 180, 200 I get on a juicer, but why do I spend $399? And I think that, you know, there's a really strong argument that if you are someone who loves to juice like you and I, and many, many people out there, if they are not juicing now, they need to juice. And I don't say that like, oh, because we want to sell them a juicer. It's just that they're not getting enough fruits and vegetables into their body. Yeah. And the juicing is a great way to supercharge it. So without going down that rabbit hole and the whole reasons why, I think what I'm excited about is that the yield, so the amount of juice, and I don't want to spend this conversation going into the sales pitch, but I think it's a really important point to understand for people that the amount of juice that comes out of a juicer is really important in the long term for how much of the product, the produce, the raw materials that you're putting into the machine.
Correct.
And I think that, you know, because you've done a lot of breaking of machines, you've tested, I mean, how many machines, how much juice do you think you've made in the last 2 years?
Thousands of gallons, probably.
So much. I mean, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're getting up to 30% more juice on the mean green recipe, my famous mean green recipe, because those leafy greens and that vegetable, you're really extracting out every last drop.
Correct. Yeah, and that's the really at the core of the product, the core of the technology is maximizing the yield of everything that you put inside. You're getting the most juice possible, and you're left with a really dry consistency of the pulp. You're throwing away less, or you're composting. You know, people spend so much money on their fruits and vegetables. Why would you want to put it in the compost bin, you know, and not get the most out of it, or why would you throw it in the trash? So it's just getting the most out of it.
Yeah, totally, and that's something that I just think that's worth bringing up for people to understand. That perhaps with a higher price point, they might think, oh wow, but in the long run, it could pay for itself very much with the produce that the more juice you're getting out, the least amount of produce you need to put through the machine. So that's an important point.
Yes.
So Dan, when it comes to, you know, wrapping up our chat here, and it's been a great conversation down in Venice under the airport as the plane goes by, and we've got the sun pouring down here. It's a beautiful day down here in Southern California. Like, what would you like to share with my community and with anyone out there who's listening or watching this in terms of, you know, what do you want to share with them about what you're trying to do at Nama, and what you would like to be able to them to take away about what's happening and why you're starting this business and so on? Just you know, love you to have the floor and just share with them.
Thank you. I think obviously over the years that you've been doing this, since your first movie came out, you've built an incredible community through Reboot with Joe. And you know, we're really happy to have the opportunity of sharing our story with your community. And obviously the people who follow you are probably following you because you juice, because juice is your life. You've dedicated the last 12 years to following this path in your career and in your life, and that's something that we really cherish and we respect. But I think, so whether people in your community already own a juicer or they don't, it doesn't matter. Nama is a place that they can come, they can get information, they can get recipes, they can get insights and interesting information. Valuable content that they can then go on and use with whatever device that they have. Maybe at some point in the future, our next product, whether it be a blender or whatever comes after that, maybe that's a product that interests them. Yeah. You don't need to buy anything to be part of what we're trying to build. Yeah. And I think that's really, we want to encourage people to become healthier. We want to encourage families to create rituals around juicing. Again, I know that's something that's really been paramount to our family, is doing it as a family and being able to share those experiences and teaching those skills around eating healthy, drinking healthy at an early age. Those are things that are really, really important to us. And so we just encourage folks to come over and have a look and leave their comments. We're very early in our, obviously we launched only a day or so ago. So we're early in the future of our business, but we really look forward to a bright future going forward. We have a really aggressive plans for how we can help more people and touch more lives and bring more innovation and more really great quality products to the marketplace that help the community, help your community, help the world at large to eat more plants. I mean, that's really the bottom line, is creating appliances, products and services that help people eat more plants.
Yeah, so I think that's really sums up the reason why we're partnering together, because it's very much aligns with the vision of what we've been trying to do to help people eat and drink more plants as they go forward. So I think it's an exciting partnership. I'm super pumped up about it, Dan. I really appreciate the time taking down so that you can sit here today and we can have a chat and find out a little bit more about the founder, the man behind Nama, and your first product being the Nama cold press juicer. As you know, I've been using it for the last 3-4 months since the prototype 1, 2, 3, and now the final product. I love it. The thing I love the most about it, which I've shared with you and shared with many people before, is that I just love the versatility, that not only does it create amazing juice, not only does it get really great tasting juice, but I love the fact that I can make nut milks. I mean, I'm just super excited about being able to have a juicer that does more than just juice.
Yeah.
So, mate, with that, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's been awesome to chat with you today. I hope everybody who's been listening, if they want to find out more about Nama, they can go to namawell.com, which is your website.
Yes.
That's where you can order the juicer at the moment. This product is not in stores. It's only available as exclusivity through the Joe Cross community in the first couple of months. If you're listening to this in the years ahead, then it may well be in stores all around the world. But right now, while at the time of recording this, we are only in the first week of the launch, as Dan said, then at this present moment in time, it's only available from the website. Also, there is an Instagram, which is Namawell, so Namawell, and also on Facebook. So I would ask you all to go and check out both of those social media platforms. Follow the Nama community there. Dan, mate, absolute pleasure. Always great to chat with you and spend time with you. We don't get enough time to spend together because you're always on a plane, flying somewhere, going over to...
So come fly with me.
Yeah, no, I think I've done enough.
I've
done enough flying in my life. The less planes, the better. Okay, mate, great. So we'll raise a glass just here. We've got, for those listening, we've got some green juice here, which is a Vancouver Island green juice. Go looking for that video. It's out there in YouTube somewhere. And
before we get blown away,
before the house falls down here in Venice, juice on.
Cheers, juice on.